Josh, how long has Rayner Personnel been in business?
We were established in 2012. We actually physically started trading in Jan 2013.
Okay.
So some 5 years now. Yeah.
Long time. And so you look after corporates, independents, onlines, hybrids, the whole spectrum?
Sales, lettings, commercial, land, new homes, financial services. We look after lots of suppliers as well. So anything that goes into the property industry, we look after.
A lot of estate agents that I deal with have decided not to use recruitment firms. They've decided to do it themselves.
Names and numbers?
yeah, I'll give them all to you. And I guess that remains the case, that you struggle to find or convince people they should be using a recruitment agent. So what are the benefits for those agents that are watching this video and don't use a recruitment agent? What are the benefits of using a Rayner Personnel type recruiter?
I think that it's always that same old argument, it's time versus money. So would you spend your time listing houses, growing your business, or would you want to spend time proactively going after passive candidates and convincing them to come work for you? I think it's a whole argument, time versus money, always has been, always will be. We've actually got too many jobs as a business. So one thing I'm not crying out for is more clients. We've got 780 live jobs in the property space at the moment. It's definitely a candidate-driven market. But I suppose from a client's point of view, why would you use a recruitment company? We're knowledgeable, we can go after people you can't actively approach yourselves. Again, that's our professionalism. We specialise in finding talent.
So if I'm recruiting for a branch manager in my agency and I want it as soon as possible, and I come to you with my budget and I'm flexible on budget, but I just want to find that superstar, I guess I'm not sport for choice.
No, you're not, sadly. So there'll be sort of probably up to about 3 or 4 candidates, absolute max. Then people we would have had to turn their heads, so they're not proactively looking for a job.
So you're headhunting at that stage?
We're going after passive people who are not necessarily on the job market. They're considering options in the future maybe, but at the moment they're very set on where they're going in life. We just happen to contact them, whatever means, to see if they might be interested in furthering their career.
Why do you think there's a lack of candidates out there? Do you think that agencies not as sought after it used to be? It's not a profession that people want to get involved in, because it used to be obviously a really popular trade, but
massively, and that's hugely changed. So it used to be an attractive position. I suppose when Foxtons first started off in London, when they were you could earn sort of 6 figures as a negotiator. You could drive a Ferrari at the weekends if you were a top performer. So it's not a desirable industry. The hours are really out of date. Even if you look at somebody who worked in a retail shop on the high street, they'll be working better hours than an estate agent, and they'll probably be earning more money. Right. So again, our industry needs to change massively to try and attract the best people. There's not an academy or anything that's bringing new blood in. We typically relied on the corporates to find people and train them to a certain level, and after they got frustrated, they didn't leave. You'd have somebody who's half trained. Sadly, that's not happening anymore with the current market, and therefore there's a massive need for new blood.
What type of employer have I got to be to attract the best talent? Are candidates getting more particular about the brand that they're working for, the flexibility that company's offering them, the benefits package?
Yeah, massively. So we're in an age now where you've got the likes of Purple Bricks and the online agents that allow you to work from home, to work the hours you want to, and to grow a business. And we're competing with that as a high street as well, saying, right, okay, these people work for me, PAYE, therefore I want them in my office at my time. Lots of people don't want to do that. So they don't want to do the sort of old Foxtons hours, 8 till 8, every weekend, even Sundays. They want to be able to go about their normal life and be able to do a really good job to fit around their lifestyle. So agents need to be able to offer a better culture. Letting people have their days off for their birthdays, great, but actually let them off, come in a bit later on a Monday or Tuesday to go to the gym or pick up the kids from school once a week or whatever it may be. You'll get a better rounded, happier employee.
I got to meet you when I was working for House Network, which was my online estate agency that I founded. The House Network as an online agent back then was quite unique. It was probably the first pure online estate agency, and I found the type of candidate I wanted to recruit was very different to a traditional branch agency. And so over the years that we've known each other, the market's changed and there's new entrants, as we know, in the hybrid space and online, and there's still traditional, obviously. But how has that emergence of the online market changed the type of candidates that you're looking for?
Huge. Again, in the early noughties, it was very set out. It was a branch normally consisted of 4 or 5 people. That was a secretary, that was a neg, senior neg, a valuer, a branch manager, and maybe some little lettings if they did have lettings at the time. We live in an age now where it's all about a valuation specialist.
Yeah.
If you haven't got any stock, you ain't going to make any money. So we've seen a massive shift towards people with sort of 2 to 3 years valuing rather than people with sort of less experience.
Now I'm seeing 2 types of high street agency developing at the moment. One is those that are not spending money, and it's getting really, really hard, so they're just saying the budget's are spent, that's it, we just got to cut back if anything. And then we're getting the others that are actually attacking this market, which I quite like. So they're spending money on a new website, they'll be spending money on their brand, so they're staying modern and they're staying current, and they're spending money on their offices, making it a better environment for people to work. And we're sort of seeing a lot more sort of almost boutique style high street agencies, making it attractive for members of the public to come back in. And I like that. I think that's where it needs to go.
Otherwise, more personal and more relationships built.
Exactly. Those that spend money on recruitment, is that the sensible thing to do? I know you're going to say it is.
Of course, I'm
but
going to say it.
You've got on your website the cost of a bad hire, which I think is what I'm getting to. So those that aren't spending money on recruitment fees and they're just doing it themselves, actually that could cost them more money than recruiting in the first place.
Of course, it can cost of a bad hire is 3.5 times the basic salary of the person that you hire. So, for example, if you pay a typical 18 grand basic, you're looking at sort of £57,000. People just think, oh yeah, but that person lasts for 4 months and they leave, and it's 4 months of 18 grand pro rata, so that's great, we can wipe our mouths and move on. But actually it's the onboarding, it's the staff morale, it's the training, it's the interview process, loss of production, if you wasn't interviewing, what else could you have done in the business? There's so much more via that. And again, that's not just Josh Rayner's word, it's backed by the REC, which is the Recruitment Employment Confederation. They brought out a report last year, so the findings are validated. It does cost 3.5 times a candidate's basic salary, which is huge. People are losing so much money.
And how do you do that? How do you make sure you get it right? What tools have you got? What systems have you got in place where you can say to me, Graham, I'm confident I'll find the right person for you, because I don't want to be trawling through hundreds of CVs, only to go through tens of interviews, only to find that actually not quite right for me, because then I've wasted a load of time, a load of effort. So what can Rayner do that's different from me doing it myself, or in fact any other recruiters out there?
So I'm going to talk from my perspective first, obviously. Little plug there for Rayner personnel. So we've got some technology we call R360, which is a process. So we actually assess the employer and the job before we even take it on. The assessment is a McQuaig assessment. McQuaig's been going for the last 50 years. Stand up, obviously, reputable firm, and we assess the employer and the job to make sure we get a full disc profile of what the ideal
So is this psychometric profiling and things like that?
It's behaviour assessment. Very, very similar to a psychometric based on their behaviour. So we know culturally what person is going to be able to fit well within the organisation and with the employer. But also, if you get it right, obviously the person's going to hang around a lot longer. So if you use R360, we happily give you a 12-month guarantee. You tell me what company will give you a 12-month guarantee on the person they put in. So we're 96% confident that person will stay, and therefore that's why we have to give you a 12 months rather than a 12 weeks. So you've got to find out if that person is going to be right for your business in 3 months. Forget that, we're going to give you 12 months. Because things happen in a longer period. So we also charge on a monthly.
Tell me about that. So you traditionally, I would pay, when I was recruiting staff, I'd pay a percentage fee for one-off recruitment, and then I'd move on to the next, and so on and so forth. But you're trying to do things slightly differently, where you're trying to retain that client to use you more regularly and to build a relationship with them.
Correct.
Is that right?
So we think our clients should always be recruiting. Yeah, we want them always to be recruiting, so they're seeing 4 people a month, so 1 a week, every single week. Why? Because you never know when someone's going to go off ill, or you get a resignation, whatever the reasons, you're always going to have a gap in your business. It happens to me, it happens to everyone else, and you're then kind of 3 months behind where you need to be. So it normally takes 4 weeks to get someone and put it through a process. They typically have to give 4 weeks notice, and they start the following month. So you're 3 months, and then actually you've got to wait another 3 months before they're actually doing some business.
Yeah.
So you're 6 months behind. So if you're always recruiting, that's ideal. We don't want to be given. I want to create a name for Rayner personnel where we're on your side. We're a recruitment partner. We're not one of these people that put out fires as and when you need it. We want you to be paying us on a monthly basis. We will always give you the best people every single month, whether you've got a seat available or not. But you pay a monthly fee. It doesn't matter if you take on 20 people that year or 2. We'll work out a reasonable price that works for you as your business, and we're effectively on your payroll and on your wavelength, rather than being the hated recruiter that I envy that invoice that keeps coming over once every 6 months. We want to take a little bit of money off you every month to make sure that we are on your side. You can then ring us up for what do I pay for basic salary these days? What is the commission breakdown? What are my competitors doing? I want to sort of stay above the curve. So a lot of things we want to be offering our clients.
How long would you say was the average term of employment for a negotiator? Do you know any of these numbers?
Yeah, so every 18 months.
Right.
18 months is the average time someone stays in the industry. Okay. There's 160,000 people employed in the industry across the whole of the property sector. So there's lots and lots of churn. The average estate agent, if you took it as a national thing, is 57% retention. Right, so they put somebody in and someone falls back out again. So we've got 780 live jobs right here, right now. We don't want any more jobs. We want to fill the jobs with proper people that are going to stay put, that we can then build our relationship and our reputation up. I'm not interested in putting someone in 6 months later, hooking them back out again. I won't have a business left. Okay? We've got 48 people now in our business. They're all their own business entrepreneurs. They all own their own limited company underneath the Rayner brand. It's really important to get this right.
So Josh, the market's obviously quite tough at the moment for estate agents, and when they're recruiting for new blood, are they erring on the side of caution and looking for the trainees to come in and pay them less and train them in-house, or are they looking for the finished article? And how difficult is it to find those 2 types of different people?
So actually agents are still looking for somebody typically with at least 12 to 18 months experience, somebody that haven't got to nurture or mentor too much, that can actually get on with the job from day one. I think that's probably, they need that, but they also need some young people coming through, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, typically people are taking on experienced agents with 12 to 18 months minimum.
Do you think that estate agents know how to interview? Because I've done a lot of interviews in my time. I've never had formal interview training, but I've been quite unconventional in the way I've recruited in the past, and the way I've done my interviews is very different. But for agents that aren't used to doing volume interviews, I guess it's quite a strange thing for them to interview people because they're not recruiting constantly. Do you help with that at all, or do you let them just find their own way?
Yes, we do help the client with their interview questions and techniques. As part of the process, we've put a job with us. We actually give them tips and questions to ask, probing questions for the candidate.
So you're basically, in a sense, you're helping the client to conduct the interview,
to find the right person, conduct the right interview, and onboard the person.
And you're helping the interviewee cope with that interview as well.
Yes, we are.
So you're kind of owning the whole process to make sure it's...
Yeah, we're owning the whole process, but again, the client's got to take a bit of ownership on them, so we might know what the typical questions are to ask the right person. They're going to have to make it personal to their business.
Where do you see the recruitment market going? Do you think there's too many recruiters out there, or do you think it needs to consolidate because there's not many candidates?
Yeah, I think the market getting tougher. There's going to be a lot of people that go by the wayside, just like there are agency. There's a lot of bedroom businesses that need to go.
And where do you sit in terms of fees? So for traditional estate agencies, they've been sort of having a fee war that I speak about sometimes,
Yes.
and they've been trying to match the lowest fee.
Yep.
Do you do that sort of thing, or
No,
do you do what I do and say there's no negotiation fee, we're really good at what we do,
Yep.
and you're not paying a penny less? Is that your...
Yeah, and if they're going to negotiate fee, they're the kind of company that they're going to negotiate the salary with the candidate and try and label them. So as soon as they start quoting about fee, alarm bells go up for me. Are they the kind of company that I want as a client? Probably not. And if I'm calling them, introducing a candidate, and they're saying, well, I've got 10% with your competitor, well, why aren't you using them?
Yeah.
Or why are they coming up with the right talent?
What type of...
Stop, give it.
So Josh,
Yes.
it's going to take longer than half hour now. I'm still not ready.
Well, we've got a bit of shade, let's go.
Yeah. So Josh, you're one of the... I'm on lock.
So, when a house, when a property, when a house, whatever, so it really depends on you, but 45 minutes to an hour is what I recommend. There's a lot of people that are, I suppose, like agents are a bit sharky, that need to be get rid of.
So Josh, you've recently rebranded your website.
Yeah.
Happy with it?
No.
Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you.
Oh, lovely moves.
Sing it to me, Rayner. Sweet Caroline, Josh Rayner. Good times never seem so good. You're so good, so good.